So what we have here is a car radio, which is a very common car radio. If we can see, the box is very small, it's not just so big. And here, the first thing we can see here is the LCD interface for the radio, which display the frequency and also the station of the radio, and a couple of buttons to adjust the songs or the radio. And this is the volume knob to adjust the volume of the radio. And on top of the radio panel, we can see there is a sticker of wiring diagram of this radio, which we can see at the rear panel here. So let's see. So there will be, here is the car antenna, which represents here the antenna, and 4 output ports, which is here. So this will be the connection where we connect to the output, and there will be input and output ports for the speaker. If you can see here, there are 4 speakers, which is right rear speaker, left rear speaker, right front speaker, left front speaker. So there will be 4 speakers that we can connect with this radio. And it's also explain the color of the wires which we need to connect to the speakers, and we should know from this which one is which in order to connect to the speaker properly. So there will be purple wires, gray, white, green, blue, yellow, and black. So we can, from here we can connect the speaker with this radio properly with this guidance. So it's basically the top panel can just be popped out like this, and we can immediately see the motherboard, and also there is another board for the LCD interface. So this radio is very common and very basic because it's only a car radio that does not have CD player. So that's why we have a very basic and very it's simple radio. And there are many types of radio that comes with CD player. So there will be motherboard for the radio and also the CD player. So there will be the radio box will look more complicated than this lah. So just by using this screwdriver, I managed to disassemble this radio box, and what we got here is the main circuit and components for the radio system of this car radio system. So here we can see there are 2 main parts or boards of the radio system. Let's start with the LCD interface. So in this board there is a microchip that control everything in this board, including the LCD interface and all these stuffs like external memory port, the USB port, jack audio port, and also the parts over here, which is all the buttons and the volume knob to adjust the volume of the radio. This volume knob is actually a potentiometer, so it means that to adjust the volume of the radio, we are actually adjusting the, and there is a connector which connect between these 2 main parts, and also 2 wires connecting this microprocessor with this microprocessor. So let's move on to this board. we have here is the car antenna. Here in this car antenna, which in this part here, we actually have the circular coil that will induce the alternating current from the input signal wave coming from the antenna, and resulting in a direct current which we can use to amplify the signal later on. So the flow of the circuit is from the antenna to the RF amplifier here, and to the tuner circuit, all this circuit here, and the last one is to the detector or demodulator, and lastly the signal will be sent through the input output of the speaker. So this is like I mentioned, here is the RF amplifier, which amplify the weak signal coming from the information signal, and this IC is 78M05 voltage regulator, which its function is to constantly supply 5 voltage to the circuit. And here also there are capacitors and inductors that I believe the function is to help in filtering the input signal coming from the antenna. And move on to this bigger inductor and circular coil, and next to them is here is a diode, and these components here are the detector or demodulator, which function is to demodulate the signal of amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. And after that, the signal that has been demodulated will be sent through the audio amplifier. So that is basically the function, very basic function of the radio system, and I hope this explanation helped with this case study. So that's all from me. Thank you.